Spice up your sex life with pheromone. You know, I never believed in aphrodisiacs. Given the fact that I've been married for a good number of years now, and no amount of chocolates and oysters and what have yous managed to convince my wife to try, something new when it comes to sexual explorations, you'd know where I am coming from. Hence, I always believed that aphrodisiacs were urban myths concocted by people who are either hopelessly optimistic or downright delusional. In the real world, my real world, at least aphrodisiacs are empty boxes of false promises. But boy, was I wrong. Long have I heard about pheromones and their rather amazing effects on human sexual relations, but I always grouped them with aphrodisiacs, that is, works of fiction rather than tales of facts. This, despite the growing popularity of pheromones among my network of friends. Though some of them often mispronounce and misspell it as pheromones, they nonetheless have an idea on what it's about. Pheromone is a chemical that is produced by animals to convey certain primal messages that elicit an equally primal response. Of course, there is nothing more primal than sex. Pheromone was first observed in female silkworms, which secreted pheromones to attract the males of their species come mating time. It has been well documented in many insects since then, and in due time, scientists have observed the same in mammals. Pheromones serve as sexual attractants. They have a distinct smell that appeals to the most basic of instincts, particularly those of the opposite sex within the same species. It was only in 1986 when a group of Philadelphia scientists discovered the presence of pheromones in humans. Women produce them, and this makes men approach them with much fervor and longing. Men produce them as well, and this results in building a connection with the females of our species. The problem is, pheromone production varies from subject to subject. While some may possess an abundance of this, hormone of desire, others seem to suffer from a shortage of the same. The solution? Human pheromone has been cultivated and perfectly integrated with oil, cologne and perfume. Since pheromone appeals to the sense of smell, what better way to carry it than through a variety of scents? Billy Bob, a college buddy of mine, was the first one who ordered those simply packaged bottles of pheromone, which he still insists to this very date should be spelt as pheromone perfume. Within a week after his initial purchase, Billy Bob excitedly told us about his findings. It freakin' worked. I remember him screaming. My wife's not freakin' frigid after all. He added, still with the same enlivened delight. I was still hesitant about pheromone perfume, pheromone cologne, pheromone oil and the likes at that time, but another buddy of ours, Paul, followed Billy Bob's cue and took the plunge. Now, Paul is quite a character. He's not afraid to try anything. Being that he's gay, he wanted to find out if female pheromone would make him more attractive to guys. Guess what? He tried it out during his vacation in Phuket, Thailand, and he claimed that he had the time of his life. If you know what I mean, he coyly added. With two of my friends claiming the exact same thing, I shared this knowledge to my wife. To my surprise, she knew more about it than I did. Turns out that her cousin Beth, who has long endured the fear of a possible divorce, has been hailing pheromone as the savior of her marriage. According to Beth, her husband became more adventurously amorous ever since she started wearing pheromone perfume. I have read about the love potion of Eros in mythological stories. I have read about love potions in Wiccan lore. I have seen so many movies from my youth involving love potions of every kind. I have always associated love potions with fiction. And I was never going to accept such as a fact, not in its original form in myths of yore, and not in what seems to be its present incarnation in pheromone perfumes, colognes, oils and the likes. But when my wife started wearing it, well, suffice to say, no amount of testimonials would appease anyone's doubts when it comes to something as seemingly magical alternative like pheromone, or pheromone as many people call it. But you're missing out on some grand things if you don't want to give it a try, I could tell you that much. My recommendation, try it. Most establishments offering this sexual attractant offer a money-back guarantee, after all. You have nothing to lose. And a whole new world of pleasure to gain. Fair gamble, isn't it? For me, though? Who needs Viagra when my wife's pheromones are inviting me to come get some?